We aren't cars. Our joints don't just wear out. But somehow we've been convinced that being heavy and getting old automatically destroys our joints. And then they push it as far as to say that that means we're destined to live a painful old age. Today, I'm here to tell you that that's a huge lie, gi- ginormous lie. I healed my chronic grinding hip pain while I was still 60 pounds overweight. And to be fair, I did lose 20 pounds during the process of healing, but I was still 60 pounds overweight. We need to understand, so you need to get it that unless you broke your hip by in a fall or you had some kind of big accident, our joint pain isn't a strictly mechanical problem. We have a chemical problem happening inside. So, today we're going to neutralize those chemical reactions. If you're new here, I'm Violet. In 2018, my body was hurting all over, and I had a hip pain that was off the charts. And I was told it's never going to heal. I was told that I just had to wait until it was bad enough for surgery. Well, I didn't do that. I decided to change my diet instead, and I healed my body. Since then, since healing, I've been longboarding, snowboarding, and back to tree climbing with my daughter. And we do indoor climbing now. I want to show you that if you break up with this dopamine prison that you're in, so we are all in a dopamine prison. And if we get ourselves out of that prison, you can get your health back. Because not just you and me, Wellness Warrior, it's all of us. Now, I'm not going to go into the full 8-month saga of how I was trying to work out and lose weight and all the silliness. I have a video. I linked it below. You can watch that video if you want to. I want to talk about the actual biggest point that I figured out that's going to help you today. So, like the one thing that you can look at right now, because your doctor is telling you that your joints hurt because of the heavy load that you carried around, right? So I was overweight, right? And I was aging. This is just normal. This is what we're always told. So we're being treated like if we are a cargo truck of some sort, right? If you put too much cargo, then you're going to cause damage. But after 8 months of walking, because that was the only exercise I could do, and eating low fat and no snacking and all the stuff I was doing after 8 months of it, I did not lose an ounce, right? So I took very good care of my body. I treated it like the mechanical problem I was told that it was. And 8 months later, I was the same weight. This had no chance of healing the problem that I was living. And it basically meant that as time progressed, I was getting closer and closer to, well, to going into the hospital. So when we follow people like Dr. Westman, right, he helped me to understand that foods like rice, potatoes, and pasta aren't just calories, they're inflammatory and they're signals to our body to gain weight, right? So not only in that period of time where I was trying to heal myself, was I still eating rice, potatoes, and pasta because those are healthy things, right? I was putting or keeping my weight the same. I was keeping my weight the same, but I was also signaling my body that it needed to be inflamed. Sugar and starch are foods that when you have too much of them, so, and we are constantly flooding our system with these foods, but they contain chemicals that are causing us not to do well, right? So your body swells and you hold water, and it's a bad time. So I want us to understand that it's not that your knees are crushed by the heaviness. That's not what's happening. Your joints are swollen, And in that swollenness, yes, they will hurt. And they're not functioning properly because in that swollenness, they're not lining up the way that they line up when they're not swollen. They're going to hurt. So when I changed my diet, I was actually respecting that my body had a chemical problem. And that's what allowed my body to then pay attention to that chemical problem. So the moment that I cut the garbage out of my diet, all those high carbohydrate foods, when I cut them out, my body was actually able to address the inflammation issue because the stuff causing the inflammation was no longer there. And the pain stopped. It didn't matter what the scale said, the pain stopped. Now, my joint pain was gone after I changed my diet 3 months later. So it took 3 months of eating the right food for my body to figure things out and get rid of that pain. I'm not saying that my body was in perfect tip top shape at that moment. I was still 60 pounds overweight. If you're doing that math, I started off 80 pounds overweight. Well, and maybe more than 80 pounds overweight because at the very beginning, I did not think I was going to lose weight. So I wasn't tracking my weight at the very beginning. How much did I lose? Most people lose the majority of their weight within the first week, and I didn't check my weight before I started. Just putting that out there because I know that, well, I'm 99% sure I was much more than 80 pounds overweight. The point is, my body was able to get rid of the pain before everything was fixed. But that 60 pounds was still hanging around. So if weight was the true problem, Wellness Warrior, if weight was what was causing, and age, although my joint pain started when I was 20, but if weight was the true problem, my hip should have still been hurting me, right? It should have hurt me until I was at goal weight. But the pain was gone months before I got to goal weight. Now, well, I mean, in all fairness, the goal weight came quickly afterwards. But I feel like that's another thing to think about. When my body is not inflamed, I'm not carrying all that water weight. Okay. I just the first thing I want us to understand is that 60 pounds overweight and I felt better. This proves that the pressure from my weight was not the actual problem causing the joint pain. But this is what we're often told. It was the garbage that I was eating that was causing the inflammation that was causing me to be in pain. So a simple shift in perspective from looking at what was going on with me as a mechanical something to looking at it like a chemical something is life changing. It changed everything for me because I believed the doctors that I found, Westman, Fung, Berg, uh, eventually Eckberg, Eid, because I found these doctors and I believed what they were saying, I stopped just focusing on the mechanics of what my body was trying to do and started to understand that the things I was eating was having a huge impact on the way I was feeling. And that was something that no doctor had ever said to me before. That was something that no one had ever said to me before. I'd never heard that. I didn't know that the food I eat could change the way that I feel. And I will be honest with you because it is terrifying to think of how many people are scheduling major stays at the hospital to do repairs right now, believing that their body has failed, when really their body is reacting to the breakfast, lunch, and supper and all the snacks that they're eating. We need to help. First of all, we need to understand. We need to understand that pain is a signal. It is not a sentence. When your body is in pain, it's trying to get you to understand something, to realize something's going wrong. So either we ate something or maybe we caught a cold or something, but pain is a signal, not a sentence. So if we understand that our body is having a chemical scenario happen and we understand that the food that we eat builds our body, this is the opportunity to start looking at what am I building my body with? So I really want you to think of this like pain is a splinter that's stuck in your foot, right? Every time you walk, you step on it and it's just like bothering you. It hurts. And it's sending a signal to your brain, right? You would stop and you would take the splinter out, right? The pain isn't a mistake. It's your body begging you, could you please stop stepping on that? Could you please take it out? Now, the other powers that be would have us believe that no, what you could do is you could just take a pain reliever and then you'd be able to walk no problem. I mean, honestly, Wellness Warrior, we see them do this in football games. A football player will hurt their ankle or knee or something, and those people will just tape it up, give them medication, and send them back out on it. Do we not understand that we are ruining that person's joint? Yes, you can't feel the pain anymore, but it isn't fixed. The fact that you can't feel it and you keep walking on the problem means you're making it worse. You're harming yourself worse. That splinter could cause an infection and tissue damage and all kinds of problems from a stupid little splinter that you could have paused and taken out. Silence from our body is dangerous. We want our body making noise. We want our body telling us what's good and telling us what's not good. Garbage is a splinter. It's a foreign irritant causing your body to react, Wellness Warrior. And along with most of these garbagey foods that we love to eat, there's other things in there that our body's not looking for. Splinters. We don't need to manage the pain. What we need to do is replace. So they're going to, we don't need to manage the pain. We don't even need to replace the joint. We need to remove the splinter. So get all that high carb food out of our diet. Because when the irritant is gone, when there's no more external garbage, right? When you're only eating real food, meat, fish, poultry, eggs, when you're eating the real stuff and the irritants are gone, the body is able to neutralize that inflammation and that pain just stops absolutely naturally. It just, I can't, 3 months. It. I was working so hard the previous 8 months. I was working so hard the previous 23 years well, 22 years before I found out about keto. That was 22 years before my hip failed and I was limping around. I did chiropractic, I did physio, I did all the things. I, on multiple different occasions, tried to lose weight. It always came back. Matter of fact, it didn't just come back. It always came back with extra. You imagine you do all the work to lose 20 pounds to regain 25. You do all the struggle to lose 40 pounds to regain 60. That was my life. Like, I know it's the life of many of you. We are all in the same dopamine prison. Don't let them fool you. Thin people, overweight people, young people, old people, Doesn't matter what country you live in because our westernized idea of packaged garbage has spread across the world. Our idea that fruits and vegetables and grains and nuts and seeds has spread across the world. We are all in the same dopamine prison. So you might think that because you've been in pain for years, it's going to take years to fix it. But as I just said, 23 years that I was struggling with my knee pain, went to back pain, then was elbow pain, and finally hip pain, right? Like that's pretty much my entire body, all the joints hurting me all the time until the hip just made my life miserable. That pain was gone in 3 months. It doesn't have to take months and months and months. Well, I mean, honestly, 3 months compared to the years I was struggling with it. Now, is everyone going to be able to do it in 3 months? No, I can't say that. I can't say that because everything depends on the amount of actual damage that you have. But I'm not, I'm not a wimp. Let me put it like that. All the years that my knees hurt and my back hurt and my neck hurt, I had stiff neck. How many times I had to go to the chiropractor for him to like unlock my back. Okay. All the years that those were going on, I had a 0 to eventually 9-year-old daughter. Nine? Trying to do the math. 13? I think 13 when I started keto. Yeah, 13-year-old daughter that wanted me to play with her and run around with her and do stuff with her. And what I was doing it, Wellness Warrior. So I'm not a whip. It's not like the pain stopped me from living my life. It did not. I kept going. So it's every person, the amount of damage you have will determine how long it took you. With that level of damage, where I mean, the hip took me out. And yet I kept pushing through because I felt if I could lose weight. So I was walking on this ridiculously painful hip every day for 8 months trying to lose weight. The hip took me out, Wellness Warrior. So you need to look at the level of damage you have. Some people have had interventions. Luckily, I haven't had any interventions besides them telling me I should take a painkiller or something. So, April 20th, 2018, my body went to work. My body was given the correct foods because I started eating them. And when I stopped eating all the junk food, so junk food was gone because I understood from Dr. Westman that the junk food is just the sugar content is way too high. So all the junk food was gone. And then rice had to leave, pasta had to leave, and potatoes had to leave because of the high sugar content. Because he told me, well, in the video, he said 20 grams of carbs per day or less. You can't cross that threshold of 20. So, I mean, can you understand that my body was now getting in a day less than 20 grams of sugar when previous to that, because I did do the calculation based on what I was normally eating. And this is during times when I was not eating junk food. I was getting about 400, so anywhere between 350 and 450 grams of carbs in a day. For the bakers out there, yes, I said 450. 454 is a pound of sugar. So by July of 2018, which was the summer, we went on vacation. We drove to Ontario, and I was able to be in the car driving to Ontario because by that point, I was already back to walking around and doing stuff. And to be honest with you, I hadn't even realized that I was back to moving around and that all the food changes that I had made had worked. And this is one of the things that's so amazing about the human body. It is so resilient. It is so focused on making sure that it it heals you. That my body was doing what it needed. It was doing good. And I didn't even realize until Pat, we were on vacation or running around, and Pat asked me, that's my spouse, he asked me, hey, do you need to take a break? And I was like, oh my gosh, my hip is, I hadn't thought about my hip in weeks. So before we left on vacation, the pain was gone. But I was still 60 pounds overweight, Wellness Warrior. That's like if I was carrying around a 6-year-old child all the time. The weight was still there, but the inflammation was gone. So, I mean, I don't know. Was it fair? Is it fair for me to say that I was carrying about 20 pounds of inflammation? Is that possible? I don't know. I don't know when it switched from being inflammation weight to being weight, but I will tell you that at that moment in time, I still had 60 pounds to go. But in the next 2 months, yeah, 2 months, I was at goal weight. But I was pain free before that happened. Your body wants to be healthy. It is fighting for every single day for being healthy. We don't know how to help it to being healthy. And because we don't know how to help it to get healthy, we keep making mistakes. And then we get bad advice. We get this advice that tells us to focus more on whole grains or focus more on fruit. And we end up giving our body the exact thing that is causing the problem, the exact thing that is making our body suffer. Because we don't know better, right? Because the advice we're getting is wrong. I changed my diet and I did get to goal weight. I'm still at goal weight. And it's 7 years later. Going to be 8 years in that I started the diet in April, and 8 years that I'm at goal weight in September 2026. But I'm 7 years and almost more than a half of eating a healthy keto diet, and 7 years at goal weight. 7 years. I could never have imagined that that was going to be my reality because honestly, I tried to lose weight so many times before and it didn't work. Not at all. It was like I said, lose a bit, put it back plus extra, lose a bit, put it back plus extra, over and over again. Now, throughout that time of my weight constantly riding, I was longboarding and snowboarding and rock climbing and rollerblading and riding bikes and rollers, like all the things that we do because I have, like I said, I have a kid and she wants to play. And we were doing the things. We were doing the things. I'm back to doing those things. So again, our body will deteriorate over time because that's just what happens, right? Because, we are No, I am older. I am 8 years older than I was 8 years ago. 8 years ago, I could not longboard and ride my scooter. I forgot to mention that one. It's a kick scooter, not an electric or a motorized something. A kick scooter. I wasn't able to do these things. I'm not gonna lie, I do have an electric one too. But I'm talking about my motorized my non-motorized kick scooter, my longboard, the non-motorized one. I wasn't able to do these things because of the pain I was in like 8 years ago for a year-ish. I got my body back by eating properly. I didn't get my body back because I was lucky. I didn't get it back strictly because I lost weight. That 20 pounds wasn't the deal breaker. And that 20 pounds in the history of being me would have come back had I not figured out this new way of eating that helped my body heal and was the appropriate food I should have been eating in the first place. Meat, fish, poultry, eggs. That's the food part. Low glycemic vegetables is the entertainment that we tend to like on our plate. I don't like it on my plate anymore. I've taken a decision about that. We are all different. You are going to take your own decision. I'm letting you know vegetation has no place in my diet anymore because I understood from doctors like Dr. Chafee and Dr. Baker that what is actually food for us, meat, fish, poultry, and eggs. So that's what I eat. And salt. We need salt daily. That's what I eat because I don't want to keep causing my body to struggle. I don't want my body to be interrupted with foolishness, with stuff that foolishness. That's the best way. That's the only word that makes a lot of sense to me. If you're sitting there in pain watching this video right now, like if you're in pain this moment, if you're terrified that your life is over because you can't move or do what you want to do, maybe your issue is like more of a mental health issue because what I learned from Dr. Eid, it's not only the body that's getting impacted by this stuff. A lot of the people that are having, mental health struggles, they too, it's happening because this stuff we're eating is causing our bodies to struggle. It's causing us, our, it's, our brain is part of the body, as she put it. And so therefore, what negatively impacts and causes inflammation to the body can negatively impact and cause inflammation and problems in the brain. So if you're struggling with your life, if you're not living your life happily, properly, experiencing what you want to experience it, I'm here to tell you that your body is ready to heal. When you stop giving it garbage, when you just cut the garbage out and you start giving it real food, right? Your body will start to just eliminate that inflammatory response that it's been having for years. For years. Again, 23 years I was living this pain and inflammation problem that was all connected. How do I know it was all connected? Well, because I changed one thing, my diet, and my entire world changed. And it has remained like that, like it has remained good, right? Taking the garbage out allowed my body to stop sending me those pain signals because why? Because it's repairing itself. So I really do want you to click on the video in the description where I explain how I manage my cravings. So there's two videos down there, the one about my journey if you're interested, and the one about how I manage cravings, because that's what's going to help you to start this journey because you got to get your cravings under control if you're going to get those carbs out because I could also link another video about what happened when I first realized the cravings thing, but I didn't link that one, but I can link it later. This is what we need to do to get our body back. Are you willing to do it? I'm encouraging every one of you to do it. And if you have people in your life who are struggling, people in your life who can't get up and go and do stuff, give them this video. Give them this video. They need to understand that there's something they can do about their health. Waiting around for someone else to step in and change your world for you means that you will always need someone else to step in and change your world for you. That's not a great place to be in, Wellness Warrior. Stop and think about it. You don't want someone else telling your kids what to do, right? You want them to either follow what mom and dad said or make a good decision on their own. You do not want them blindly trusting some stranger. Why do we blindly trust? Especially when there's evidence, whether it's an N of one, look what happened to me, or all the studies that Dr. Baker and Dr. Chafee and Dr. Westman and Dr. Eid are putting out there showing, Dr. Eid has shown that mental health improves when you eat healthy food, meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and keep your entertainment on your plate. So those those vegetation things like fruits, vegetables, grains, anything that's a plant is for fun. And she pointed out that when we keep those things low and eat real food, we do better mentally. All the other doctors are talking about physical. We do better physically. So if you have questions, this is the moment. And if you don't have questions, that's cool too, because this video, you can watch it on repeat and really just get yourself into the mindset that you're going to do this because this is what you need to do. So this is what is best to do, in my opinion, to help your body heal. Because you know what? It's always the right thing to eat real food. It is always the right thing to eat healthy food. No matter what you are ever going to do, eating healthy food is always the best thing. So I do see that we have one person in here who decided to make a comment. So how are you able to how are you able to, let me just adjust my size of my font here. So how are you able to make the switch moving to almost full carnivore? I understand the key motivator was healing your body, but how do you make a switch within a family context? I did not expect my family to make the switch with me. Um, so even when I went from when I went from standard diet to carnivore, sorry, when I went from standard diet to keto, I did not expect my family to make that switch with me. And the reason for that was I wasn't sure yet that it was healthy. So I was doing something because I was in a predicament and walking was no longer something that I was able to do. And so therefore I needed to change my situation immediately. And so that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to change my situation right now. I can honestly tell you that the impact on my family only started after my holiday. I feel like first of all, when Pat noticed that the pain was just gone, the pain wasn't there at all anymore, he was interested in what I'd done. He had weight to lose and he wanted to see like how he could. And also, I mean, obviously, I feel like he was more interested because I lost weight. That 20 pounds had already come off. And by the time we came back from vacation, again, it was 2 more months before I was at goal weight. So within 2 months, I lost another 60 pounds. So he was very interested in what was happening for weight reasons. But I didn't push this on the kids. The only thing that Pat and I made a conscious effort to do when it came to the kids' food was decreasing the amount of junk food we were buying. Before any of this keto topic came up, we just bought junk because all kids like junk. It's a treat, whatever. And we didn't think much of it. We bought, um, I mean, my daughter didn't like sweet cereals as much as the more bland tasting cereals, but now I know they're all the same anyways, whether they're sweet tasting or not, they're all just a bunch of sugar. So, but she would eat cereal like every morning, as I think, like they had a lot of things in their diets that we started to cut back on. Now the kids still eat cereal, so we didn't eliminate cereal 100%. And I mean, they're not kids anymore now, 7 years later, so they are adults, all three of them. But the amount of carbohydrate that they eat dramatically reduced. All three of them today understand they are eating that stuff for entertainment and it's not necessary to have. All three of them make better decisions. Um, I wish my daughter would make even better decisions. I wish one of our boys would make even better decisions. And we have one boy that's doing amazing and he's really on target and focused and he's doing great. So, and actually he was the one that had weight to lose and he's at a healthy weight and he's going forward. So, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's really cool to see them doing well and keeping things moderate, but I feel like two of them could do even better. So I didn't force anything. Going from because I didn't force anything, going from standard to keto was easy because it was just a matter of me not putting pasta, potatoes, or rice on my plate. Whatever vegetable I cooked, everybody had the same vegetable. Whatever meat I cooked, everybody had the same meat. At the beginning, I didn't do much change to my spices. None of the typical home meals that we cooked were sweet tasting. So, barbecue sauce was something like, so this kind of stuff, like this kind of stuff, barbecue sauces were things that I mostly only did on weekends, or and even that was only on weekends during the summer. We're in Canada. Summer is like, 4 months. So barbecue sauce wasn't a major part of our diet, and most of our meals were not sweet tasting. Um, when we transitioned from keto to carnivore, it was basically the same thing. By that point, though, all three of our kids were much less invested in the rice. So, like, we make rice like once in a blue moon. Same thing with pasta. We make pasta once in a blue moon. They all leaned into the salads and the low glycemic vegetables. So, yeah. I hope I answered your question. What's your name? Raishis? I hope I said that right. Let's see. Sky. Oh, sorry. Psychotic. Oh, psychotic mommy. That took me a little while to figure out how to read it. How do you just stick with it mentally? You know what the funny thing is, as I said during this video, Dr. Eid pointed out that mental health is dependent on making sure you're feeding your brain properly, and that your body is healthy means that your brain is also going to be healthy. Our brain is made of fat. I mean, we don't think about that. We have this huge skull around our brain because we could do this to our brain. Like, it's just fat. So, because our brain is made of fat and it's very delicate and intricate, then it's important for us to eat the right kind of fat to help it repair itself. The right kind of fat that my brain needs to repair itself comes from animals. The fat that we get from seed oils and the fat that we get from plants, even when they're cold pressed, is not the right kind of fat that my body can use to rebuild the structure of me, right? And so we end up ingesting large amounts of fat that our body has to try to eliminate because it wants the right fat, the fat that's going to, build us properly. And what's frustrating is that we've known this stuff for years. Oh my goodness, it's like when you go back all the way, so when we go back to Banting, which is in I want to say 1860s, all the way back to Banting. When Banting spoke about it, they were laughing at him because he was bringing old news, Wellness Warrior. So they had already known about that 4 years before Banting in 18. We know that our body wants meat, fish, poultry, and eggs. Why we eat these other things? There's a financial benefit to somebody. So the mental part for me was getting out of pain. As soon as I got out of pain, there so when you live excruciating pain, I don't know how else to explain this to you. The fact that I was walking on that excruciating pain only speaks to one thing. I'm that afraid of anybody opening anything on me. I'm that afraid of it. I don't want it. I don't want it. So my walking was me so afraid that if I don't do this walking, I might end up in that situation. Didn't want it. But it was still excruciating. Like, there were days that I cried. The pain was that bad. Again, I lived through a lot in the 23 years of having pain. That pain outshone everything. I broke a bone in my foot, Wellness Warrior, and I didn't cry. That pain had me crying in my hip. So, just context. I want you to understand what, yeah. So, for me, when I stopped eating garbage, and the pain went away. That meant everything to me. Now I understand a lot of you don't have the pain level that I have, or the health scare that I have. And even people who have a health scare, when that pain doesn't slap you in the face every 5 seconds, when it's an internal health problem, and you only feel it once in a blue moon, or not even once in a blue moon, when you only feel it when you're in a struggle, and then as soon as the struggle is over you can't feel it anymore, you will have a harder time to stick with it if the only thing that's keeping you sticking with it is the fear of the problem. So if I was going to talk to someone who wasn't living my situation, I think I'm so happy. I say this all the time. Violet syndrome. I love that I have it. Eat a nightshade vegetable, I'm in pain. My carb count is too high, I'm in pain. I love that about me because violet syndrome means I stay on, I don't even have a chance, not even a chance to go off track. My body's going to slap me back into line. What are you doing? Stop it. Some people just have weight. And here's the problem. The same way that I was weeks into being pain free and I hadn't noticed on that vacation, oftentimes I would lose weight. And then by the time that I was noticing in the mirror that I was overweight, because maybe I looked in the mirror a certain way, or maybe I looked at a picture from a few weeks ago and I looked at myself in the mirror like, oh, what happened? It creeps up on you. Weight is the worst indicator of the issues that are happening. And that's kind of normal, by the way, because weight gain isn't actually the problem. It's the toxins that your body is managing. That's the problem. We want our bodies to manage these toxins, wellness warrior, because if it doesn't, we would be in huge trouble. If your body didn't grab that sugar and put it in fat storage, there is such a thing as a sugar coma. That can happen to people. So we need to be careful what we're wishing for, right? We think what we want is to be thin at any cost. Trust me, that's not what you want. At least it's not what I want. I do not in any way, shape, or form want to be thin at any cost. So the mental part, I stick to it because it's better for me. I stick to it because when I don't stick to it, luckily, I get a problem. I know you don't have that situation. I get that. I stick to it because I feel better eating this way. That's an obvious repercussion. I think clearly, I sleep well. Although last few nights I haven't been sleeping well, but not sure why that is. The temperature is changing. It is colder in my house, and I've been struggling to get that temperature just what I wanted at night. So that could be part of the problem because I do wake up cold, but I sleep much better than I was sleep. I used to have insomnia at least once a month, every other month. Yes, every other month. No more insomnia attacks. I haven't had I wake up because I'm cold. I'm not waking up because I can't sleep. I fall right back to sleep. It is amazing. So I mean, my skin rashes have gone away. I used to have rashes, they're gone. And my family, like rashes is a thing in my family. It came to me much later. I had joint pain first, then weight. Nope, joint pain first, then rashes, then weight. Um, the rashes are gone too. My tinnitus. I always forget to mention this one. It is so nice to not hear that damn ringing all the time. All the time, all the time, all the time. I used to have this stupid ringing in my ears. It is so nice that it is gone. And I'm sure there's other things that I'm forgetting about right now because I have a long list and I didn't say anything near 15. So I know that there's other, and this is part of the lovely human experience. When the problem floats away, you stop thinking about it. But that's part of the problem with why people end up eating off plan. Because when the problem floats away, you stop thinking about it. And then you eat off plan, and the weight comes back, and the pain comes back, and all the problems come back. Migraines. I used to have migraines. I used to have migraines like at least every 2 to 3 months. And I mean, when I say migraines, I mean have to go to sleep migraines. Not like, don't pass go. Violet's going to sleep now. Bye. Good night. That's what I used to have. So there's a lot of things that help me to stick with it because I just love feeling better. Hope that was helpful. Um, the land savior, the land savior. Why I was in carnivore diet, but my joints pain is still so severe. So one thing that I will point out is that sometimes people are doing carnivore diet, but they're doing it this way that I've seen online that I don't agree with. We're still allowing copious amounts of dairy, and some people are even drinking milk because milk comes from an animal, right? And we're doing carnivore diet. And so I feel like some people are using honey. Honey comes from an animal, right? So I do feel like there are lots of people who are doing carnivore but still having high carbohydrate things and not recognizing. And I know there are people that are going to disagree with me. I truly believe the reason that carnivore diet works better, quote unquote better. One diet isn't better than the other, except for it helps people to stick with it better. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say. People who had as much damage as I had, those vegetations that you're eating, it just keeps beating you up. First of all, if we go back in history, if we remove this refrigeration thing that we've invented, we would never, ever be able to all year long have fruits and vegetables. We wouldn't be able to have it. Now, even when you talk about, well, maybe we would be able to can them. Okay, let me back that up. And not when I say can them, I mean like put them in those jars, glass jars, because tins are not good for you. But if you would jar your vegetables and your fruits, okay, maybe you would. But go back in history, we didn't do that unless we were afraid we wouldn't have food. All of those processes for packaging foods to be shelf stable happened because we had soldiers we needed to send off to war with food. We had, and especially think about it, they can't be out there cooking. The smoke would go up and the enemy would just know where they are. So we needed to be able to send them out with that was survival food. That's not what we're supposed to be having 24/7. So that's the first thing I'm going to say is that I do feel like we are trying, carnivore takes us away from the fruits and the vegetables and all the vegetation, but some of us are still allowing in these other things that are high in carbohydrate. Until you took MSM, I don't know what MSM is. If you're here and you want to tell me what that is, then I can answer to that because I don't know what MSM stands for. Maybe I can look it up. MSM in, like, sorry, meaning. So it looks like it's some kind of sulfur, if I'm getting that right. Um, I'm not sure why you would have been low in sulfur. So now the new thing that I'm going to say, the land survivor, maybe you weren't eating the varied enough meat. So I'm gonna say that first. So meat, fish, poultry, and eggs, right? So were you having fish sometimes? I'm trying to think where sulfur comes from. Like what animal would give us sulfur? But I mean, everything we need we can get from animal protein. So I was just figuring out which one. But I'm gonna go for it on that. So I know that Dr. Baker talks about eating um, ruminant animals, and that's all they really focus on. But then I've heard other people talk about adding some fish to that and other kinds of like, for example, myself, I cannot eat ruminant animals. They place iron so well that it messes with my thalassemia. I will be verifying at some point down the road whether or not my thalassemia status either A changes or if eating healthy for long enough allows me to eat a bit of beef and not have a reaction. But I don't know yet. Right? The last time that I even tasted beef, the metallic taste in my mouth was crazy. And whereas Pat said it tasted absolutely terrific, to me, it was not terrific, not even by a long shot. So, things, right? So, my point is, are you eating only one kind of meat? That could be the problem. And especially if the only meat we're eating is a white meat, which is the place where I'm stuck because I can only eat white meats, then and I can manage pork. Here in Canada, we call pork a white meat, but over in the US, I know you guys call it, I don't know. I can manage pork. So those are the things I can have. They don't taste metallic to me. They taste absolutely fine. And if, because, or not if, because I can't do beef, I try to do fish. And I'm hoping that that rounds things out, that, having a different kind of animal in there. What I'm not sure about, though, is organ meats. So Dr. Baker has more than one occasion said there's zero need for us to eat organ meats. He says you can have it once in a while if you like it, but there's no need for us to eat it. And his point was, no, Dr. Chafee's point was, even if you were going to eat the organs, he said, like, comparatively, the liver versus the totality of a cow, you wouldn't be able to have liver every single day for a year, but you probably could live off of one cow every day, single day for a year. So his point being that we need to pay attention to and recognize that even if we were eating nose to tail back in the day when we caught an animal, we still wouldn't have been eating like as much organ meats as we think we need to eat today. That was his point. Nutrition with Judy actually sat down and went through liver from different types of animals, kidney from different types of animals. Like, she went through a lot of stuff and showed how by eating these things too regularly, we would actually, because all of the vitamins and minerals and everything that we're eating now, because it's inside the animal, is going to be much more bioavailable and fat soluble and all the things. So all those healthy things. But problem, then if we're eating all of that, we could end up with too much of something. All that to say, we need to be careful how much of what we're having. And I don't really, and all that for me to say to you, I can't specifically pinpoint um, why your joint pain was still there. Oh, one other sneaky thing that causes people to have joint pain. Sorry, I forgot about this. The spices. A lot of times people don't realize that spices are still carbohydrates. And if you are super sensitive, they're going to cause problems. However, we add to that that if you have, like myself, problems with nightshades, the smallest amount of paprika sets my body off and my violet syndrome is going and I'm in pain. So it's also that, it's recognizing that maybe that's another issue that you need to address is that, yeah, so that would be the other thing that I would point out. Hi, Sing It. Nice to see that you were able to pop in. You're going to listen on the replay. That's perfect. Starting over with Mini Tramp today. How's your streak? I've been going. I've been jumping on my Mini Tramp. I've only not jumped because I was tired. So I did have it in mind. I knew about it, but I just said nope. Today I'm tired. I'm not jumping. I did not jump one day too because we had no power, so I wasn't home. But other than that, I've been jumping consistently and taking. So it's about every other day is what it's working out to. But yeah, it's going good. Food going okay for me so far. Many hard no's to the foolishness. Last week was a good week. I'm glad to hear that you're doing well and things are finally getting back on track. Please come back and keep me updated. That's terrific. So again, we have psychotic mommy. My biggest issues are the mental, husband buying junk food, and conflicting information from others. like Dr. Mindy Peltz. Oh, I'm not sure what conflicting information you might be getting from Mindy, but I don't necessarily watch that doctor. But I think the most important thing that I learned, and honestly, wellness warrior, I'm giving you exactly what you need to have to be on plan right now. Like you could end this live stream and go do what I'm saying, and you'll be on plan moving forward. Here it is. When you eat food, meat, fish, poultry, eggs, that is food. That's what your body needs to rebuild this thing, right? And we've known that for years. Your body is built on animal protein, on animal fat. And plant fats are structured differently. They're not what your body's looking for. We've known that for years. Plant proteins, some of them are similar. So the amino acids, some of them are similar, right? But then there's different ones. So you can, and not that they're different, they're missing some. So we can't get all the amino acids from eating, for example, one kind of plant, whereas we can get all the amino acids from eating one kind of meat, fish, or poultry, or even eggs. You can get all of them. So right away, that should like light our brain up that these are the things that are supposed to build our body. Vegetation, whether it's fruit, vegetable, grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, any vegetation, if you're chewing on bark, I don't know, all of that is for fun, period. And my suggestion is have the least amount of fun on your plate as you can, because that fun interferes with your body's ability to build you. And I've lived this. That was causing my body to struggle. And removing it, I feel amazing. So if you decide to keep a low amount, so like, keep it under 20 grams, if you feel good, you found your number. And that's the way I want you to think about it. If you feel good, you found your number. Roll with that. If you don't feel good, there's more to do. There's more to do. And that's okay. That just means there's more to do. But everybody needs to pay attention to their body, because your body will tell you what's good and what's not good. Your body wants you to be as healthy as possible. And I'm talking about it like it's a separate entity. But it's not. Like you want to be as healthy as possible. You need to let your body do its thing, right? It's a great piece of machinery. It's a great chemical processing system. If you give it the right ingredients, it corrects everything that it needs to correct. It knows what order is most important and corrects that first. That is why my joint pain was gone before my weight was gone. That is why weight comes on, because that's what's supposed to, if you eat the wrong stuff, weight's supposed to come on. We want to fight our body on that. Your body doesn't care about calories. Calories not a real thing. We made that up. What your body cares about is the food that comes in determines the weight you will weigh, because it determines how much saving your body had to do. And I really hope I said that in a way that we just can, yeah. Dark Apothecary says, I think we all wish we made better decisions. I know I do. Thanks for the talk, and I agree with you on diet and all. I'm so happy to hear that you agree with me. I wish I would have made better decisions, but I don't blame myself for making the bad decisions. The problem is we've been told that these decisions are the good. I was never told that meat, fish, poultry, and eggs were the only thing that was food. I had to figure that out by myself. I say it in every video now because I'm trying to help you guys to see that meat, fish, poultry, eggs is actually food, and salt. We need salt every day. So meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and salt. And as I learn more things, I add things. I didn't used to say eggs before. I added it. And now I didn't used to say salt. You see, it's a struggle. I forget to say and salt. We need these things. So something from here, well, the salt every day, and something from these four every day. That's food. And if we're not doing that, our body will struggle. Vegetation, we actually never need to eat. Our body makes all the carbohydrates that we will ever need, right? So, what are we doing? And mommy's back. Let's see. I have the situation that if I'm eating badly, I suffer tremendously. I'm always wondering why I keep falling off and torturing because the torture is not enough. I mean, yeah, you might be one of those people that are just so used to fighting with yourself that even this torture is not enough. I don't like fighting with myself. I so go back in the history of Violet for a second. As a kid, I was that kid that parents needed to fight with. If I didn't like it, I could sit at the table for hours and hours and hours refusing to eat, knowing I will get nothing else if I don't eat that. I didn't care. If I don't like the taste of something, so I don't torture myself. My siblings would be, just eat it. Oh my God. Nope. Nope. I don't like the taste. It doesn't go in my mouth. Flip side of the coin. I didn't like pain. I avoid I avoided pain at all costs. Again, if something was painful, not doing it. Right? I have only 2 earring holes. Why? Getting holes in your body is painful. Not doing it. Do I think sometimes it looks cool on other people? Yep. Would I ever? Nope. That's painful. Not doing that. No tattoos. That looks painful. Not so that's my superpower in this case. It's a superpower. If something stops me from feeling good, I will stop doing it. And it doesn't take much. As soon as I figure out, oh, that's causing that, I'm now already brainstorming. How do I get rid of it? I really want you to take a look at what's happening and look at when you're falling off because in reality, what you're calling suffering tremendously is not as big of a suffering as whatever it is that's actually happening in your life that's bothering you that causes you to self-soothe with food. And when you find that thing, then you'll fix it. Now, if you happen to be one of those unlucky people who is so upset, frustrated, annoyed with the fact that you are overweight and that hurts you, that makes you self-soothe with food, well, now you're in one of those cycles that could go on forever. And what I'm going to tell you is the best thing you can do the next time you start is make a commitment to yourself that you only going to start if you go that 30 days and you have to tick. So you seeing it was right. Having that little chart downstairs in my room where I get up in the morning, I see my chart and then I can walk out and I can go jump, even though the trampoline is still in the same spot. That little chart where I'm actively ticking it is not just me saying I'm going to do it. I tick it off. That has made a difference. Be active in this. Okay. If you want to eat on plan every day and you start, okay. I made 3 meals, right? So I have 3 meals in advance. And I know that people are going to be screaming about histamines. For the situation you're in where you keep falling off, do the thing that helps you to be on track. And then as you get better and better at it, and as you feel confident in yourself, and as you know you're never going to stop, then you can change. I started off, I made a week of meals at a time. Well, and for me, a week is 5 days, right? Because I didn't have to cook on the weekends. So I would, on Sunday, cook from Monday to Friday. And then on the weekends, other people cooked for me. And that's what I did every week for like a month and maybe 2 months. After 2 months, I was really confident that I was going to keep cooking. I allowed myself to cook one day in the week so I could have 3 meals. And then, like, because again, lazy, I was cooking one meal that I was eating through the entire week. I had a breakfast. No, sorry, breakfast dropped early. I had a lunch and a supper, same meal for a week. Then I would change it out, but for a week. Made my life simple. The meals were boring. Who cares? I, at that moment, understood I'm trying to feed and heal myself, not have fun with this meal. The meal was delicious. Again, my dad is a chef. He told me what spices to use. The meals were delicious, but they were boring. I ate the same thing on repeat. By the way, today, I eat the same thing on repeat. Pork chops, ground pork, fried chicken, fish, usually salmon. Sometimes I'll have sardines, but usually salmon. All the time, over and over. So, what is that telling you, right? What is that telling you? It's telling you that it's about understanding the goal you actually have for yourself, wellness warrior. If you do this well, that boring meal is actually delicious. I'm I eat like four things. I'm not even joking. Pork chops. And not and pork when I say pork chops, this like it actually is pork chops. Pat will buy all kinds of different cuts of pork or pork roast, the pork. I buy pork chops. I eat pork chops. And then ground pork. And then chicken leg. And then ground pork. And then pork chop. And then chicken. And eventually, oh, a piece of fish. And maybe I have a piece of fish once a month, maybe twice a month, because I understand that I'm trying to have a little variety, but it's not something I have to do all the time. Sometimes I will have a piece of fish beside my regular meat because I just want to have the piece of fish, but that's the real meal. And with all of those meals, by the way, like I would say 90% of the time, I have four eggs beside those pieces of meat or fish. Why am I doing this? Because I get all the nutrients that I need in every meal, right? The eggs just kind of make sure if any one of these cuts of meat doesn't is missing something, I have four eggs here. I think I'll be okay, right? I lived years of my life getting 4 ounces of meat for the entire day. There's more meat on my plate today than what I would have had in the entire day, three different meals. So I'm very confident that I'm getting what I need, but at minimal, I'm getting better than what I used to get for 46 years. So I'm encouraging you, pay attention to what you're eating, set yourself up to make it easy. And you're not going to start where I'm starting, by the way. Like I'm doing meat with salt, eggs with salt. You're not going to start where I'm starting because that wouldn't make sense. But can I tell you that I love my meals? I'm not chasing them though. I eat when I'm hungry. I'm not thinking about food all day long. I just happen to know that whatever I'm going to eat tonight, it's going to taste amazing because that's the way that I cook it. And I like the way I cook it. And when I cook it, it tastes amazing. This is the benefit that we all can have and live by focusing on eating healthy food. Okay. I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps you to stay on track. Um, you've come so far, and I definitely need this today. I'm glad that this is helpful because I want you guys all to succeed. We ate a lot of fermented items along with meats and animal fats historically. That was only recently. Again, I feel like we forget how long humans, so we had multiple different phases of humans, but how long we've been on the planet. We look at the blip of when we first started fermenting things, the blip of when we started canning things, and we believe that that's the majority. No, that's a blip in the history of how we got to be where we are. And we are so focused on a narrative that supports what we do today that we are only looking at a small sliver of our history. We can't do that, right? Because if I look at a small sliver of the history of Violet, that would be like saying that my entire life was only like the last 2 months, right? So I was born talking and smart. And no. Right? If you go back to the beginning, and we're not even trying to go back to the beginning, we're going back to when we were walking up straight till now. We had much more time where we were not preserving anything. It was hunt, eat. And we weren't, wellness warrior, do you even understand? We weren't even cooking. Fire was invented much, much, much after humans were walking up straight. We weren't even cooking. So, it is important for us to understand that a good portion of our history, we weren't doing these things. It's a sulfur that we need. And I'm sure that that sulfur is in most foods. I don't take any sulfur. So there has to be something that has sulfur in it. If I figure that out, maybe I'll say it next week. But at the end of the day, um, yeah, I don't take any supplements besides iodine, and I'm on a break from iodine right now. But yeah, Mandel, hi, how are you? Glad to have you here. I used to not tolerate any pork. Now I can tolerate some pork, but I have it has to be the right kind. Oh, you have to be the right kind of hungry. It's weird, but I'm getting to where I can tell when I'm that kind of hungry. So basically, you're telling me that sometimes you have a craving for pork, and that's interesting. See, this is the thing. I never have a craving for beef, and as a matter of fact, I'm often having this kind of like, oh no, like I remember because I used to eat beef as a child, um, before we learned that I had thalassemia, and it was always again that struggle, that fight, but my body rejecting that. Nope, you shouldn't be eating this thing. So I can understand that, Mendel. Oxalates can also cause pain, and a lot of spices. Thank you for bringing the oxalates to the story. Yeah, so when we're having spices, because I mean, spices are just such a. I can do a whole. I can do a whole live stream on spices. So I'm not going to dive into that rabbit hole here. If you want me to do a live stream on spices, let me know. You can put it in the comments. Let me know. But that's a whole other can of worms. But yes, I agree with you. Um, Bride biscuit. What to look for with nightshades? I have Hashimoto's, but I am oddly asymptomatic with nightshades and dairy also. One of the problems that I will say, Bride's biscuit, is that we think we're asymptomatic because we can't see the outcome. So, one of the things that I learned from Dr. Lustig was that if we just look at sugar as the example in this case, because I'm going to go back to the one that I know the most about, he pointed out that when sugar is too much in your body and you have what they call insulin resistance happening in your body, which is your body not responding to insulin the way that it should, insulin resistance in the blood would be called diabetes. But if it was insulin resistance in the ovaries, that's polycystic ovarian syndrome. And if it's in your brain, it would be called. And basically, you went through this list of like all the different places where you could have insulin. And basically, all it means is that your body has stopped responding to insulin in that location, and you are now suffering a problem. And I feel like we think we understand the body more than we do. Yes, they have figured out that you have Hashimoto's and you're not having a typical symptom, but it doesn't mean that you're asymptomatic. It might mean that they just can't pinpoint what your symptom is, but you have symptoms because they were able to tell that you have Hashimoto's, right? So it's like that thing, right? Like, what is it? What is the issue that's happening because you have Hashimoto's? And so, unfortunately, and I'm not saying this is your story, but I'm just saying, unfortunately, when we are told these kind of things and we're told that we're asymptomatic, we might think that I could just go forward and do whatever I'm doing. And no, you still need to be careful, and you need to be the most important thing is always eat healthy. Whether I have a condition or I don't have a condition, I should be eating healthy. Meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and salt, real food. And I should be keeping my carbohydrates as low as possible. Now, yeah, that's what I'm going to say on that. You are very welcome. I'm glad I was able to help. And you were like me as a child. Our parents, they had a lot to deal with, I'm sure. Um, IW says, thanks for the reminder. Um, you're saying this is making so much sense. I'm glad this is making sense. The goal of me coming on here and brain dumping everything that I know is for you guys to get the information that you need. I can't, I mean, obviously, there's more that I possibly could say, but I can't say because you know how YouTube is. But if you want to like have a direct conversation with me, you can go down and in the description, I have links to join the community. In there, I can have real conversations because they don't happen on YouTube. So, but sulfur is in meat, fish, eggs, and dairy. Yeah. So again, going back to, I'm really skeptical of dairy now. I've learned so many things. I have a video coming up about that soon. Dairy, oof. So, but if you can get sulfur in meat, fish, and poultry, meat and fish and eggs, if it's in eggs, it makes me think it would also be in poultry, but maybe not. Um, then I don't see a reason to take us. I think that if you can get all your vitamins, minerals, all the micronutrients from food, that is the place that you should put your attention. I'm not sure why we can't get iodine from food, but we can't. So, and probably we didn't need to in the past because when we were eating the animal, because I think iodine is in soil, but I'm not 1,000% sure, but I'm pretty sure I think that's where we used to get it. When we used to eat the animal, I mean, the animal was laying on the ground before we, like, so we would have gotten some iodine. Now we don't have that situation. Our pets, they go out, they rummage around in the grass and whatever, and they still eat things. And I think that's maybe how come they can get the iodine that we're not getting. Um, but I think one place I did find that you can get iodine is in seaweed. But then you have the problem that over where they eat a lot of seaweed, they do have problems with goiters, so they're getting too much iodine. And so getting the right amount of iodine seems to be quite a game. Which I don't have the answer to yet, but that is coming soon because I'm also doing research on that. So Mrs. Five Smith, not sure. I missed it. The real cause of joint pain. So I did mention at the very beginning, it's the way that we're eating. We are causing inflammation in our joints. And by the way, although the oxalate is another problem that we do have, sometimes it's that we have too much oxalate happening as well. Again, that causes problems in our joints. But the majority of people, unless you've had a fall or some kind of damage to your body, um, it's the food we're eating that's causing us to be inflamed, and then that inflammation is causing joint pain and all kinds of problems. And yes, it's in poultry also. Thank you for clarifying that. I heard at some point that iodine was in soil and grass, and that animals near oceans would have it from eating items that grew in the soil. Yeah, so again, this is where, I mean, if you have small amounts of seaweed, I would assume that you wouldn't go overboard, but I don't know how much iodine is like in a leaf of seaweed or something. So I'm not, again, it's hard to know how we would do this, but over in those countries where they eat a lot of seaweed, the goiter problem is apparently quite real. So bride's biscuit, and this looks like it's the last one. So if this is, I'm going to get going after this because I do have an appointment at 1:30. So the antibody measured in the blood panel of Hashimoto's could be the result of consumption of something like dairy or paprika, for example. I suppose it's worth the N of one experiment. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's reality. I've never heard that before. Like, so the antibody measured in the blood panel of Hashimoto's could be the result. I've never heard that before. If that's true, that's interesting. Um, but then you would think that they would talk about it. So I would probably reach out to Dr. Barry and see what he has to say about that, because him and Nisha has Hashimoto's. And so I would reach out to them about it. And if they've already got a video about that, if you don't mind letting me know the name of the video, you can't put links in my comments, but you can definitely tell me the name of the video and I'll go take a look for it, because I'm definitely curious to know if that's a thing, because like I know that cassava plant can totally destroy your thyroid and cause Dr. No, Sally Norton talked about that. She said like cassava is like a horrible thing that I mean, bobo tea there, that's cassava. People are drinking this by like daily, and it can totally ruin your thyroid. So like we just don't know. We eat things that we shouldn't be eating. Again, going back to our joints, our bodies are screaming and we don't know. Anyways, there are links to the videos that I talked about, the ones on cravings if you want to get started down below. Last week's video is down below. I look forward to talking to you next Monday at 11:20. I'll be here with a new topic. And if you want me to do a video about something, put it in the comments below. Talk to you soon. Bye.